Alright, so we've got everything right where we want it, but there are still some tweaks that we can make to communicate things more effectively here. And one of those things, as you know, is to use color strategically. So I'm going to start by bringing in the 𝗏𝗡𝗄𝗅 logo, which you can download as a resource from this lecture. So let's go to Insert, Pictures, and insert a picture from this device. Select the 𝗏𝗡𝗄𝗅 logo, and let's move this over here to the top right corner. And that way it is visible, but it's not taking any attention away from the important pieces in my dashboard. Now, in this case, we don't really need a custom color template, but we can use this darker shade of blue here. So let's start with the selected region. Let's select our dark blue color, and let's do the same for our main KPI card as well. And now for this line chart, what I really want is for the current year to pop. So I'm going to select that series, right click, go to Format, and in the Fill options, I'm going to select the dark blue color, and I'm going to make it a smooth line. And what I want for the past year is to kind of fade into the background. So to do that, we can change the color to a gray and make it a much thinner line. Now let's make it smoothed as well. And that's looking much better. But what would be really cool is if I could add a marker to the current month here, just to call out that this is the month that the dashboard view is focusing on. Now I could add it manually, right click, format the data point, and then add a marker in here. But the problem is that then it's not going to update as time goes by. The marker is always going to live in this data point. But what we can do is use one of the tricks that we learned in the previous project, and then add a new series for this line chart that only has the value for the current period. And then we can just add a marker to that. So let's try that. I'm going to close this. Let's go to the Data Prep tab. And let's insert a column in our revenue trend table here. Let's call it selection. And let's use an if function here. So what we want is if this month right here is equal to the current month, then we want to return the revenue for this year. So I'm going to select it down here, and then just use my arrow to select the one for this row. Otherwise, so if this month isn't the current month, then I don't want my line chart to plot anything. So we can use the NA error. Open and close parentheses, close my if function, and now let's just apply this down. And you'll see that we're only getting the value for the current month. So now all we need to do is, back in our dashboard tab, add that new series to our line chart. So I'm going to go to Chart Design, select Data, and add a new series. Let's select the series name, which is going to be Selection. And then these series values are going to be these. Close that, press OK. And we can edit the horizontal axis here, just to make sure that matches as well. It's going to be these. So now this is all matching. And now if I select my line chart, go to Format the Chart Area, and in the Chart Options drop down here, I can select my selection series that I just added. And now I can add a marker to that. So let's do a circle, size 7. Let's do a white fill and a dark blue border, and just make this a little bit thicker. And there we go. So that's our line chart taken care of. And you'll see that we have the selection series added to our legend. What we can do is just select the legend, select the series, and just delete it manually. And now that we've done that, it's given me some ideas for our bars here. Because right now we're showing all of the 𝗏𝗡𝗄𝗅 stores here. So if we use the region filter, then nothing is really happening. What would be great though is if I could highlight the stores for the selected region and gray out the rest. And once again, all I need to do is just create a new series here that has the values for the selected region. So let's jump back into the Data Prep tab and add 2 new columns to our sorted store performance here called selection. So one is going to be for revenue and the other is going to be for the revenue change. Now the tricky part for the if function here is that I want to show the values for these stores in the selected region. But I have no idea which region each store belongs to. So I am going to need to pull that information as well. So let's add a new column. Let's call this region. And we can use VLOOKUP to look up this store in this table array right here. Remember, for VLOOKUP, you need the column where you're looking up the values to be the leftmost column. So let's start our selection here and then just drag until we reach region, which is the next one over. Therefore, the column index number is going to be 2 because we're going to look up the stores and pull the region from the second column over. We want an exact match. Let's close this, press enter, apply this down, and we are getting an inconsistent formula error for some reason, but we can just ignore it since we are getting the correct calculations here. And now that we do have the region for each store, then we can write our if functions. So if this region here is equal to the selected region, then return the revenue for this store. Otherwise, you can return 0. And close this. And before I press enter, I'm just going to fix the column on this reference here. And that way I can apply it over to the revenue change selection. I'm going to press enter. Let's move this over. Let's copy this formatting and apply it here. And now we can apply this down. So you'll see that we have these showing the values, and it looks like it's for the region of New York. And if we look at our selection, you'll see that we do have New York right now. So this is perfect. Now all I need to do is add these series to my bar charts. So let's go to our dashboard, select this first bar chart, and go to Chart Design, select Data, and add our series. So the series name is going to be Selection. And these series values are these right here. Press OK. Let's edit the axis labels for this, since we do want it to be these stores. Now we have these same labels on both. Press OK. And you'll notice that it displays the new series next to the original bars. But what we can do is select them, right click, go to Format the Data Series, and then in Series Overlap, just make sure they are 100% overlapped. And now we clearly have our selection here. So with this selection series selected, let's use our blue fill. And for the regular revenue series, let's just do a gray fill and remove the data labels that were there before. And let's add them for our selection series. Now we do want them on the inside end. We want them to be bold, white, and a little bit bigger. And you'll see that we are plotting these 0 values right now, but we can fix that with a custom number format. So right now we're showing this as currency. If we add a semicolon, then we're telling Excel to format positive numbers like this and not display negative numbers. And if we add another semicolon, we're also telling Excel not to display zeros. So if I press add, you'll see that we did get rid of those. Now let's just check if my other regions are working. And it looks like they are. Now let's do the same for this chart. So chart design, select data, add a new series. The series name is going to be selection, and the series values are these right here. Press OK. You'll see that we still get the blanks on the axis label, so that's perfect. And now once more, format the data series. Let's do a 100% overlap. And now that we do have selection, let's invert if negative, do a solid fill. And we want green for positive values and red for negative values. And now for my regular series, let's just remove invert if negative and use a gray fill. Now let's get rid of the data labels for these and just add them for our selection. Again, we want them to be bold and bigger. And we still have zeros here, so let's go to the custom number format options. And you'll see that it changed it to a currency format, but we actually want percentages here. So let's delete this, add a pound sign, which is going to display the numbers underneath as a percentage. And we do want to get rid of the zero values, but we don't want to get rid of negatives here. So if the selected stores were these two, we would want to display the negative label here. So I'm going to do negative, pound, and percentage. And now if I add another semicolon, now I'm telling Excel to display the zeros as blanks. Let's press add. Looks like these are working perfectly. And let's try to find these two. Let's select Chicago. And there we go. So now we're using color strategically in our bar charts as well. Now it's just time for our tables. And the focus on each of these tables is really the final column showing the revenue changes. So what we can do is use some conditional formatting to really make the values and the differences pop. So with all of these values selected, I'm going to add a conditional formatting color scale that goes from white to green, because the higher the value, the better, so the greener I want it to be. So let's select that, and it's a little bit too green for my liking, so what I can do is just manage the rule, go to edit, and then just change this green to a slightly lighter green. And I don't know why Excel does this, but the white isn't really a white. I'm just going to change it to a real white. Press OK, apply, press OK. And you'll see that we can look at these a bit better now. And now let's do the same here. Color scale. This time we want a white to red, because the more negative, the redder I want my color scale to be. So select this one. Again, let's go to manage the rule, edit, change this to an actual white. Select this dark red that we have been using. And then if I go to more colors, just make it a little bit lighter. Press OK, apply, OK. And finally, let's just use the green on here as well. And the red right here. So let's take a final look at our dashboard now. And it looks like everything is much nicer and more consistent, and our filter is really helping us focus on the important points in our dashboard now. So it looks like we're almost done here.